Salam everybody and welcome back to the Majlis podcast where we talk about all things Afghan. I'm your host Mansoor and as always with me is Noori. Today we're excited to welcome Sadiq Eshaq to the podcast. Sadiq is a highly accomplished 34-year-old technical program manager based in the Bay Area with over a decade of experience driving impactful initiatives at top tech companies like Nvidia, Google, and Meta. He managed to have multiple careers concurrently during COVID. In addition to his impressive career, Sadiq is also an entrepreneur running a successful TV mounting business. He married young at the age of 20 and is a proud father of 2 kids. Welcome, Sadiq.
Let's get this started.
As a traditional consultant, straight to business.
Driving, man. Driving the podcast.
I'm excited.
Dude, I thought I married young.
How old were you?
24.
Oh, okay.
But you know, like, in today's, today, when I see most people are getting married, 27, 28, 29. And so, for me, even, 24, even my parents thought that was, it's pretty young, you know? But
young.
20, mashallah, I'm very interested to hear about how that happened.
I was always a pioneer.
Love it.
Even back then. I think it was, 2010. Back in high school, I was I really didn't want to get into that relationship phase. And I was trying to get into Dean and stuff like that. And so I was right out of high school, I went on a 40-day Jamaat East Coast the day after I walked. And when I came back, I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to get married. So for the next 2 years, I was trying to convince them because no way in hell they were going to let an 18-year-old get married right out of high school. And so it finally 2 years later, they're like, all right, fine, let's do it. And so then I went ahead and did it. We got married at age 20. From there, it was I feel like I was born after the day I got married. We moved out a year after, and I was in an apartment with no job, still going to college, Aloni, Chabot. I took calculus 8 times. It was a crazy ride. But yeah, it was a big journey. At 23, I had my first kid. So I was 23 years old, living in a 1-bedroom apartment with we were flipping cars on Craigslist. Me and my wife, we would just call, find a person selling a car, buy it, don't transfer the title or transfer the title. It didn't matter. Sell it. And we'd sell one car. That'll be our rent for the month. And so that's how we survived. And that's how Afghans are. We're just survivors, you know? We just survive no matter what situation we are. Always looking for opportunity. I had my first job was at Fry's Electronics, and I was selling TVs. And then one day a customer was like, "Hey, will you mount the TV for me?" I was like, I really didn't know how to do that. So I bought one TV the same night, and I did it myself in my parents' house. And I was like, "Oh, it's not too bad. Let me do it." So slowly, I started mounting these TVs for people, and eventually got really busy. And I was like, you know what? Let me just quit my job and start mounting TVs. And so while I was married, we moved out. I was doing these TV mounting jobs every here now and then on Craigslist. People would call me. We would go into the ghetto. Sometimes it would be a 11 p.m. job in Richmond, in this really sketch place, and it'd be me and my wife picking up this TV, and the place smelled. I don't know what was going on. And we would leave, and when we get the money, we'd just run to the car and just run and just drive back home. And my parents they had no idea. They didn't even know we were doing this.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing kind of is you're following a very untraditional path, right?
Yeah.
By your parents' standard or
Yeah.
by Afghan standard,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Were you doing this all just out of you just knew everything was going to be okay, or did you have a plan?
I had no plan. I'll be honest. My plan was take it one day at a time. I had small goals, and I would try to achieve them, and it would just get me closer to art, something sort of consistent.
Yeah.
I knew that I needed to finish school. I needed to finish college, and from there I would get my career. But this TV mounting thing, I never prepared for it. I never planned for it. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
One day I was at a customer's house, and this lady was like, "Have you heard of Yelp?" I was like, "I never heard of it." She's like, "You should try it and put your business on." So she actually put our business on Yelp. And that's how we started. After that, 13 years later, we have 1,000 reviews on Yelp. #1 mounting business in the Bay Area.
Wow.
So it was it was not planned at all.
Wow.
We were striving to find something get your identity. Like, you know, all my friends were like, you know, American friends going to UC Davis, going to Berkeley, and I was going to community college at the time. And I was trying to really find my way of like, you know, how do I fit in? Being married, you can't really fully commit to school and your family at the same time. So I had to really prioritize and find something that was flexible for my life.
Were you ever discouraged at any point? Like, were there periods and times where you were just like, what am I doing? Or like...
I wasn't discouraged or anything like that. I was enjoying the ride. It was fun. It felt better knowing that someone was there with me than doing it alone. And so like I had friends that I would go to school with, and you know, we'd take classes together, and you know, they weren't married and they were struggling with classes, and that was their main focus. But like when I was married going through that, I felt like I could see the big picture. And so you put everything into context, and that really kind of helped me like, all right, you know, life is more than just this test or this homework assignment or this class. Like, you'll get it together. Just keep doing it day by day. And having that support system just really helped out.
That's what I was kind of noticing, like, when you were talking about it. It seemed like you had a partner in crime that was with it, you know, like with everything, whether it was, let's go to the sketch area and pick up this TV or like whatever it was. It seemed like the support system was really there. Yeah,
no, my wife, alhamdulillah, like she fully supported, like she was down. And I don't think it would have worked out any other way if it wasn't her. Like I couldn't, I don't know. It's just kind of hard to imagine going through all that and not having her in that picture.
Do you think that type of bond grows when you grow together, like from a young age? You guys, is it? Because I've noticed that a lot of young couples, when they're together young, they have that friendship and, you know, that companionship, whereas sometimes when you see a lot of older couples, they're kind of missing that, especially with Afghan community, especially like a lot of like you look at our parents and stuff, they don't have that, you know, it's very traditional.
No, definitely, we definitely grew up together. I feel like, you know, coming out of high school, you really have no background, or you don't have a career, you have no ego, you're starting from scratch. And so you really can't be like, oh, I have this degree and you're nothing or anything like that. You're kind of just going together. And as long as you both have that understanding and you have that that goal and you're aligned on your goals, I think it's like the more the better. And, you know, it just helps you just achieve anything that you want to achieve because you have that. It's just one less thing out of the way, because a lot of people, they go to school and then the goal is to get married. And that's just like a means to an end. But like if you just reverse engineer that and get that in the beginning, now you can really focus on what you want in life. And for me, I had kids, you know, once I had my daughter at 23, that was my priority. It was just like making sure that they're secure, they're safe. She's growing up, she's going to be a successful person. And that's all life is about now.
You made a really good point. Yeah. When I got engaged, I swear, like, my daily thought process changed overnight like this. Yeah. The things that I cared about and focused on switched in a second. Yeah. Like an example I'll give you is like my generation, social media is really popular. Yeah. After I got engaged, I wasn't interested on going on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Like, it just, none of it was something I was interested in. So all of that time that I was spending on there kind of all just cleared up, and I started focusing more on life and like family and like how I could be a better partner and how I could provide more. Yeah. And essentially just becoming like a man, you know? Yeah. So what you just said, honestly, like I've had that moment before, so I completely agree with you. Yeah.
No, it's true. It just like really opens up your eyes, and you can just do. It feels like when I look at the younger generation nowadays, 20 to 30s, whatever, and they're not married, or you know, they're getting their life together and they're on social media. If there's a means to an end, or if it's like something like this where there's like you get some benefit, some growth, it's great. But sometimes you'll see people, they're just like dead scrolling nighttime all day, all night, just going on TikTok, and it doesn't really take you anywhere. You're like killing for views, and it just really doesn't help out. But once you see that you live outside of that, then you start to see, all right, you know, how can I make my life better?
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like a grandpa when I tell my little brother this, but I tell him the same thing. I'm like, dude, once you get married, I'm like, your priorities are gonna be different. You're gonna be hustling more. You're gonna be thinking like forget 5 years, you might be thinking 10, 20 years ahead, planning. So you feel like since you got married so young, that helped motivate you from the start? Because you're like, mashallah, like in my eyes, at 34, you're extremely successful and ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because you did that early?
For sure. Yeah. Like when your back is against the wall, especially for Afghans, you got to crawl your way out and find a way to survive. And that was my survival mechanism. I was like, at first I need to pay my bills. And second, I need to finish school, because the biggest thing getting married so young was I'm never going to finish school. So my number one goal in life at that time was to prove everyone wrong. Once I did that, I finished school. My TV mounting business got pretty big. And so before, I was the one taking the calls, doing the jobs, going to a person's house, mounting the TV, finding these wall mounts, doing the marketing. And now I was like, I'm going to get into my career now, and I can't really focus on my business so much. So I was like, I need to find other people to do it for me, because I can't do two jobs at once at that time, so young. So the seed was already planted. Some foreshadowing here. Yeah, for sure. So that's how I talked to my family, and I got my brother-in-law involved, and he was my first partner, and he's just been the anchor of the business, and he really carried it along. A couple years later, I was able to find a call center in the Philippines. And they've been amazing. They've been with us for 10 years. And, they take all my calls, do my appointments, do the day-to-day. And then, I have my technicians that do the job. So it really went on autopilot. And then I could really focus on my career. And, yeah, we'll get into that.
So really quick, I want to address this. I want to ask this one point, because I'm just curious. And I think a lot of people watching will probably be curious. But back on your point about like getting married young and like going against like what people were telling you at the time, what is something you would tell like someone in your shoes to tell to their parents and like their family? Because that's like to me like the biggest hurdle is like your family is like telling you no, like this is not a good decision.
No, you tell them the reasons why you want to do it. You don't want to make a mistake that you're going to regret later. And, being young, surrounded by all this temptation, especially in our day and age with all social media, with just going to school, just going to the gym, you see all these things. You tell your parents how serious you are, and you give them your plan. You can't just say, I want to get married, and expect them to say, yeah. You got to tell them, like, this is my 5-year plan, and this is how I want to achieve it. I need your support in doing this, this, and this. And I'll do, my roles and responsibility will be here, and I just need your support in achieving those goals. And once you put it in that way, it'll be a lot of discussions with them, a lot of arguments, probably a lot of tears, but you kind of need that shedding moment to kind of like tear yourself away to grow into the next phase of your life. Because once you identify that, like, all right, this isn't it, I need some purpose in my life, whether it's to get religious and, start praying 5 times a day, or staying away from, the opposite gender, or whatever it may be. You need to get your family on that same page and align them with your values. And in most scenarios, they're pretty much aligned, especially nowadays. Like, I think it's more acceptable to get married young than before. In my day and age, it was acceptable to get married probably like 34, 35, around that, or in your early 30s. Now it's this new trend where it's people in their 20s are really getting married really young, and it's been seen as a very exciting thing, and I think a lot of people are accepting of it. It's a growing trend, and I like that trend because I see how much it saves a person from wasted years of their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I feel like they kind of changed, because people in Afghanistan have always been getting married young. I don't know if it's just women, but I feel like people in Afghanistan, like my dad got married young.
Yeah.
So it's always been, I feel like, a common thing for Afghan people, is just when they came to like America.
When they came to America, that was the thing. It was status. You always want to be the groom that has like a successful career. He's a manager at a branch, or he's a manager somewhere. He has his like whole life lined up. He already has a house paid off, and he can afford $100,000 wedding. And that was the thing. It was like, if you can throw a big wedding, then you're ready to get married.
Right.
But for me, I completely relied on my parents. They did everything for me at that age. So at age 20, I was like, I'll take whatever you can give me. And they, obviously for the children, they'll give whatever they could.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say though, right now, one of the barriers I feel like preventing that is I feel like women, at least in this generation, kind of want that from their man. Like
social media. Yeah. That's the thing. They want those moments, captured.
Like I don't like. I feel like we've kind of been very lucky and fortunate, but I feel like a lot of women want like a successful man that's already built and stuff, and they kind of are not ready to get with the man and then kind of grow and build together.
Yeah, it takes a lot of maturing from both sides of being ready to get married, because once you understand that, all right, I want to get married, I found the right person, you need to let go of your expectations of like that big wedding and like, big lofty house. You're really going to start from scratch, whether you have a $100,000 wedding or not. Like the day after, it's day zero. So good luck.
Compromise is so important, man.
For
with
sure.
everything,
Yeah.
wedding, whatever, day to day, you got to make small compromises throughout the day too. One other thing I noticed, like trends, a lot of young Afghan couples or most Afghan couples, like they go through this engagement phase, right? The Nomzati.
Yeah.
But usually, like, there's no nikah for that. You know, it's just like, oh, there's this engagement, and then you get nikah like on the wedding day.
Yeah.
But one thing I've been noticing a lot is a lot of young Afghan couples have been kind of like pushing back against that tradition, saying like, hey, look, we want to like follow our deen the right way.
Yeah.
And, we want to be able to hang out and have it be halal.
Yeah.
So I've noticed a lot of young couples doing nikah when they finally do that Nomzati or that engagement period. And that's actually a new trend that I think it's very beneficial.
It's huge. Because then you don't have that time barrier. There's no rush to go through that big wedding. You can actually just save your time, save your money, and do it when you're ready. And you're not going to get badnaam, or you're not going to, if people look down on you, oh, they're going without getting that nikah. So, like, it's huge. I love that trend.
That's a very good point, because that's basically what I did.
Yeah.
It did, because when I got engaged, we had just both finished school. So, obviously, like, we're not set in any way, either one of us. So that time, we didn't feel pressured by family or anyone, because it was already halal at that point, so
exactly.
we could take our time and do it when we were ready.
Now I feel like in our parents' generation, like in the 90s, whatever, for some reason the nikah was such a big complicated thing that us as kids never understood. And once we kind of like grew up and understood like the minimal requirements for it, we're like, why aren't we doing this earlier?
Minimal, unless they're like 100K meta right now.
That's a different podcast. Negotiations 101.
Oh, man. I've heard some crazy stories.
Oh my god!
I heard there was a guy that asked for $1 million.
The guy asked for it?
With the father.
Oh,
of
the bride, yes.
Yeah.
That's like, I love being Afghan, and I love so much about our culture, but these are the type of things that I'm like, we got to do away with, like stuff like that, like 100K meher, like negotiating on behalf of, like, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, Islam allows it and put this place for a reason as like a safety security measure. So I think it's a good thing, but like, be reasonable.
When the dad is asking for it, it's his ego.
Yeah.
It's like, it's my daughter. She's worth at least $1 million.
So
in his eyes.
Is it more about the like?
He shouldn't even put a price on it if you truly think she's
exactly. It's priceless, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what my father-in-law did. It's like whatever.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Shout out to those father-in-laws, man.
Yes.
Shout out to you guys, the ones that kept
easy.
it real. The ones that truly understood the concept of why they're here, what they're here for.
Yeah, and especially when you have your own daughters, and then you think about like what your father-in-law did, or like everyone else that had a daughter did. It's like now it all makes sense, because like you spend 18 years, 20 years raising this kid. What is $50,000, even $100,000? Like, what is that gonna buy you? Is that gonna buy you 20 years of all that time spent? Because if it is, then that's pretty cheap, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's a good point.
it's priceless, man. They need to pay you, like you need to pay them. it's crazy.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
No.
Yeah.
So getting into that, actually, like, did your perspective on life and everything change after having kids?
For sure, it did. Yeah. Because
Did you expect it?
Did I expect that?
Yeah.
I knew something was coming. Like I knew my life would change. I just didn't know what.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. Yeah, I just like I knew that being once you become a father, it like completely will change, flip your whole world upside down. Because before that was all fun and games. Like we barely had, like, our rent was very low at that time. We would stay up all night just, binge watching. There's no Netflix. I don't know. It was 2010, so we would just like watch like the show Lost. All 7 seasons of it.
That's a legendary show.
Bro, that was the first show we ever watched, and it was amazing. And we had nothing to do the next day. There was no, and then once the baby came, bro, there was no time to watch any show. It was like baby feedings, diaper changings, babies crying, doctor appointments, like everything and anything and everything. And your life completely revolved around the baby. And so like the first couple of years was like, how do I survive this balance between raising this human being and like taking care of myself? Because it was a whole different thing. And then after that, then, you go through this whole different phase of like, all right, how do I get my life back? Now that the baby is like able to survive without a milk bottle or without a diaper change, how can I like start going back to the gym, or how can I start focusing on work and stuff like that? So it was a completely different phases of life that you go through the cycle.
So there's like transition periods.
Yeah. And the biggest thing was when I had my second kid, it was 8 years later.
Okay.
And so it was a big slap in the face because I forgot. I forgot all we did through with the first one. I forgot the diaper changings and the milk feedings at night and all of that stuff, the strollers, the car seats. And then it was a big adjustment. And then we went through the cycle again. And now, she's turning 4 in a couple months. So I'm like, all right, I can start to breathe a little,
Yes.
I was thinking of all the ways we could mess with the snippets from right now when he was talking, where he was like, yeah, your life revolves around the baby,
Oh man.
That's crazy. I heard when you have babies, it really tests your relationship. Like, that's the real test.
The first year of the baby, from like 0 to 1, would be the biggest test of your relationship. Because like, all right, the first couple months, it's like that newborn stage. It's like the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
The baby is very low maintenance at that time. Like all you have to do is change the diapers and feed them. They're not really, they don't even cry that much. Like I see my brother's kid, she doesn't cry at all. But I remember like our kid, it was like after month 6, bro, like your patience is gone. Like you don't know what that means. And so any small thing that happens could be like a really big trigger point between you and your partner. Like the smallest thing, be like, you're both in bed and like it's time to feed, the baby's crying. Who's going to get up? Who's going to feed the baby? It's like, you had him last, but I have work tomorrow. So like, what's the compromise? And so it's the biggest like shift changing element in your relationship is like, how do you survive? How does your relationship survive with this growing baby?
Were you vetted by anyone? Like, did anyone like tell you like, hey, Sadiq, like, this is what you should expect before having a kid, and like stuff like basically you're telling us?
I had no one, because I was literally like ahead of my time, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was either like way too old to talk to me, didn't want to give advice, or didn't have advice, or they were too young, they're still in college and stuff like that. So I was just like from ground zero. So I made sure when anyone else, like my brothers or any family member had a baby, like, all right, let me give you the 101 on this because I didn't have it. And this will kind of, maybe it might help save some time.
Do you think that's missing, like in our like Afghan community? Like, do you think like it gets talked about enough?
No, I don't think so. Parenting, relationships, it doesn't get talked about at all. Divorce, how to, like, mom and wife issues, like how do you deal with that? And living with your in-laws, like how do you deal with that? Like who's talking about that? I don't see anyone.
No one wants to talk about it.
I don't know why. It's
just so taboo. I don't know.
It's such a big industry to get into, because imagine if you solve that problem, bro.
Oh
I
yeah.
think we
Millions
need
of
another
people.
call center, bro.
Yeah. 1-800.
Dude, we gotta have like a call center in the Philippines that just takes calls from like mother-in-laws and their daughter-in-laws and like gives them therapy.
Usually like 1-800.
Yeah, it's a good business idea.
Quash it. For sure. Huge.
1-800-khushu.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's just like a something that just is common in the Afghan community. I feel like there's a lot of things that our parents don't teach us. I don't know what the reason why is. Like if it's they just think we're too young, we're not ready to have that talk, or we're supposed to experience it by ourselves, maybe because they did.
I think that's what it was. Like, no one taught them. It was kind of just like they learned as they went through it. And so they just didn't really have that. No one taught them how to be a teacher, right? And especially coming to America, no one taught them how to raise a kid in America. They were raised in Afghanistan, where the whole village was raising them as, with them. Coming to America, my parents was just my mom and my dad, just in an apartment, working 2 jobs. I grew up on the weekends taking going with my dad to the flea market. Saturdays garage sale,
Same.
Sunday flea market. That was my childhood. Like when I went to high school, like I hear all these stories. Like I played 6 years of basketball. I'm like, and I'm a freshman. I'm like, this is my first year playing, because like my weekends were filled with like helping my dad out. You know? So they were just trying to survive. And now I feel like the second, third generation of Afghan youth are coming up, and they're kind of learning from the mistakes and growing. And I think the future is bright, especially with this podcast. Like, imagine this being 10 years ago. No.
Yes. We just want to reach more people. Do you think that, while you were learning this, were you kind of teaching your parents too? Like, hey, this is how things get done here. Like, this is why. Because I've had that experience. I don't know if you've had that experience. Like, a lot of things that I do, like, my parents usually don't understand. Like, why are you doing this? So then I have to explain to them. And then part of that process is they learn, like, the standard in America is, like, different,
Yeah, part of the context with me is I'm the oldest child.
Same.
So whatever, I went through, whatever they learned, they applied it to, like, my younger brothers. So I didn't get to reap any of that benefit of going through it the first time, but definitely afterwards they definitely learned and applied it in the future situations where that came up again.
My parents, it was so funny when I was like 15 or 16. I was an unpredictable kid.
Yeah.
I was the middle child, and I was breaking a lot of the barriers, because a lot of the older kids are like, they're like the perfect child.
Yeah.
They're always listening to the parents, doing exactly what they want. But I was a little bit more rebellious. Yeah. Although I didn't do anything crazy, but I remember, when things would happen, and it was so funny. My mom and dad would be like, "Oh yeah," because like they slowly start to adapt to the some American culture and stuff too. They're like, "Oh, it's his hormones," this age they say the hormones start acting up.
They're getting there, man. I'll give them credit, man. It's hard. Imagine going to a different country without knowing the language, and then trying to survive and get money to pay for rent, and and then raise your kid.
No one talked about hormones in Afghanistan.
No.
The fact that they even brought that up, I was like, hey, shout out to you for like listening. Listening, talking. And my parents are very traditional. I wouldn't expect that from them, but yeah, they were like, yeah,
survivor mentality, man. And once you get that, then it helps you get even stronger, getting that flexibility of your mentality of like opening up to other ideas, because they weren't raised with that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of like co-teaching going on when you're born, like when you're raised here in America, but your parents, like obviously your parents have crazy life experiences and immense wealth of knowledge to share with you. You know, there's some things that don't matter where you're at. Yeah. Born in China, Afghanistan, or America, right? There's like for me, like, man, I feel like my parents taught me so much, like the little things, how to behave with somebody, how to be kind, how to, there's just those little things, obviously, but then like technical aspects of America, like I was teaching them, this is how you go. I'd go to the DMV with them. I'd help them fill out registration forms. But sometimes I honestly feel like, and I feel like you're going to relate to this, and you too, especially because you guys are both elder childs, but I almost feel like we become ahead of our age.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a kickstart. Like, you know, there's people my age when I went to college that like they didn't know anything about the world, man. They were gonna graduate and they were gonna be lost.
Yeah.
But like me and my siblings had already been living in the real world for years, just trying to help our parents out, you know. So, you know, there's definitely like some pros that comes with that too.
Definitely. Like, imagine if our parents were raised here with everything that they knew from back home. Like, if they had a fair chance and the level field was like the playing field was level, bro, they'd be like multi-billionaires. Because imagine they take all that knowledge from Afghanistan, the tribal knowledge and everything that they took, the perseverance, the patience, the like how to deal with people, and then they applied it and they knew everything that they know from American like culture. Bro, the possibilities are limitless, and they're people of opportunity, and they took their opportunity and they got it, and then we're here because of them, you know. And now it's just like and they planted those seeds when we were a kid. Like, they planted those character building traits into you as a kid that you have now, where your boss is like, man, I really like that guy, let's give him a promotion, you know. It wasn't your school, that's for sure.
I always felt like this, and I'm curious actually to hear both of your guys' view on this, because we're all in like a very similar type of like corporate type of world, right? Do you guys think that like having that Afghan hospitality helps you when you're networking and meeting people? Because I'm just generally like very kind and nice to everyone, and I feel like you know, like that hospitality has to be there always, whether you're at work or not. But, you know, a lot of other people are like super awkward and they don't know what to say.
You know what it is? Afghans are really emotionally intelligent. You just go to a women's party, or just like listen to your mom's coming back from a women's party. Like you've always heard it. Like, she didn't say salam to me. And just not saying hi to you, she took so many, like, she decoded so many different things from that. She must not be happy. And most of the time it's true. And like, same thing at work, like those small little like interactions you have with your teammates or with your boss, like you can really decode a lot of different things and really play into the office politics a lot. And it can really help like elevate your game in terms of getting promoted or, you know, getting the spotlight.
Do you feel like that?
100%, and a great like point, and like how it's carries over. But no, I 100% agree, especially with people that you don't know so well. Because I feel like, you know, that you're ingrained in that as a child, right? When guests come over, like, right, you probably don't even know them, your parents know them, but you're already having full-on conversations. It's always like respectful, very formal.
Say hi to everyone. Like, that's one big thing. Like, I noticed when I started working, just, you know, recently graduated, you know, I noticed that people would come into the office and like the whole team would be sitting down and they just say hi to one or two people and sit down. I mean, personally, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like, if anything, I got to give like a big hi to everyone, you know? And I was like, dang, okay, so it's a little different. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's always better to be outgoing and build that relationship with everyone versus, like, you know, keeping it small and segregated.
Yeah, I mean, the characteristics that Afghans carry throughout time has been timeless. And that's why they've always been so successful in, like, things like business and trade, because people always wanted to buy and sell from people that, like, have a smile when you talk to them, or like, you know, give them a good deal, don't rip them off, you know, and don't argue, don't get mad, stuff like that, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
Building credibility and trust is so important in business, right? Like you said, your Yelp reviews. Yeah. That's your credibility, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the consistency. It's always been good.
It's always been good. Yeah. And like, you always get that one customer. It's like, man.
What do you do? Like, do you respond to those? Because I've seen like Yelp pages where like they have like a bad review and then they're like in there responding. Some people are rude. Some people are very nice. Like, how do you approach that?
In the beginning, I cared a lot. Because, like, if you have one review out of 100, it's like 1%, you know, and it goes from, like, 5 stars to 4 stars, whatever. And so, like, I would message them on the side, like, all right, what do you want? You know, like, I'll help you. Just get rid of this, you know, like, it's killing me. I'm a small family business, you know, you're killing us. And so they would really respond to that, and, you know, whatever be a go out again, help them out, whatever. But then after 1,000, I was like, I would read the review, I'm like, and then I would read their past reviews and try to see what kind of person they are. Like, are these people like trying to scheme me, or are they actually giving honest, critical feedback? Because if it's honest, critical feedback, then yeah, I'll take any feedback you can give me. But if it's like you're trying to make extra dollar or try to get a refund, then I was like, you know what? I'll pass. I'll let your comment stand. Whatever. Your review's fine. I'll survive. You know, I have 999 other reviews there that people can read. And I'll put that, I'll be like, you know, based off your previous feedback from other companies, I really don't think this is actually legit feedback you're giving me.
I like that. Yeah, standing on business.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Since we're on that, I want to dive into now like your business career and like going that route.
Yeah.
So I know you had mentioned before you started working at the tech giants like Nvidia, Google, and Meta.
Yeah.
You first had your business and that was running. So before we get into like those companies, why did you go into this project manager route and the business route versus compared to everything else?
Yeah, my career journey is like very unique. Like my first job was as a financial analyst at Stanford Healthcare. And it was like just getting my foot in the door, you know, like a family member helped me out. I was there for a couple of years, and at Stanford, they, you know, I was looking at their billing systems and what they use. And then I found out the existence of Excel. I never knew what Excel was. And then I started playing around with it. I had a lot of free time, started building dashboards. I was working for the call center. So like we'd have call agents. I would give them like report cards and like, you know, have it all automated based on the reports we would get in. And then I was like, man, this, I really like the system that's providing this data. Like I want to get into that. And so I was looking around and I found this job as a IT project manager at this Philips company called Lumileds in San Jose. And so that was my first like tech job where I was in the IT side of things. So I went from the financial analyst side to IT, and I flew all over the world. I went to Malaysia, Singapore. It was a global company, so we did all these workshops. Germany. I was basically supporting the whole globe across all time zones. And so going into that, it was very stressful because like I had no time off and I couldn't really do anything. So and it was, you know, my career ladder at that company at that time was very restricted. So I started, you know, I found someone on LinkedIn that, you know, formats your resume. And so I found this resume lady and I was like, dude, I need your help. Like, this is what I'm doing. Can you help me out? Like, I'm trying to, you know, get more into, you know, a tech job or, you know, whatever you can find me. And so she built my resume out and my LinkedIn. And I looked at it. I was like, this looks great. Put my own edits into it and it was fine. A couple months later, like someone, a recruiter reached out and was like, hey, do you want to work for Facebook? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, of course. And so I told my boss, I was like, hey guys, I'm out. 2 weeks, I'm done. And they're like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm going to Facebook. Like, all right. Like, they didn't even try. Like, we couldn't compete with it. You know, they're happy for me.
Yeah.
And so I got to Facebook, and the first day that I joined Facebook, I went on campus. I picked up my laptop and my phone, and then I get an email saying, oh, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, the offices are now closed permanently. So my first day of working at Facebook, COVID hit. And so I never went to the office ever again. Wow. It was crazy.
So this is 2020.
This was 2020. Yeah.
Okay. And before that, you've only had 2 jobs. Like
before that, only
post-graduation.
Yeah, I was there for each of them for like 2-3 years each.
Okay.
And so then 2020 hit, and then COVID.
Were you living in the Bay at the time?
I was living in the Bay. Yeah, I bought my first house. I bought my first townhouse. I was renting for like a good 10 years, 8 to 10 years. I moved every year of my life after we got married because like our lease would come up, they'd raise the rent. I was like, you know, I'm gonna find a better deal. Typical Afghan, right? And so it was crazy because right when we bought the house, like a year later, COVID hit. So like the interest rates, everything was still good at that time, but I was kind of scared because I was like, what if I lose my job? And then, you know, I still have my wall mounting thing, but like, you know, our customers were more based on people moving in the Bay Area, you know, apartment to apartment. But with COVID, no one was moving at all. Everyone was just staying put. Right. So it really put everything to a standstill.
So did you continue working at Facebook?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's, and that was a brand new experience. I was working from home. Never knew what that was. And so, and Facebook is a really good place to work if you ever get a chance in terms of the work experience, right? Especially at that time, like it was very chill in terms of like I had a lot of time on my hands. And so, I had my own office. I was living in a townhouse in Hayward, had my own office in the corner of my house, a little desk right there, a little man cave. And then my LinkedIn was still on. So my LinkedIn was still good. And all of a sudden, I get another recruiter email from someone else like saying, hey, do you want to work at, I think at the time it was Google. And this was like, 2021. And I was like, yeah, of course I like to work at Google. So I was really scared because like I liked my job at Facebook and I liked my job at, I want to work at Google too. So like I was like, let me see how it goes. So I actually I joined Google and I was like, let me just test it out, see how the workload is, and then I'll make my choice between Facebook and Google, and then I'll just move forward from there. So as life went on, like a week went by, 2 weeks went by, 4 weeks went by. After 6 months, I was like, hey man, I'm doing pretty good. Like I can do this forever. So both jobs. Yeah. So we just continued. I continued doing both, and they were both work from home, and I was doing great at both. At one of them, I was employee of the month. That's the thing with the Afghan mentality. We're hustlers. You give us an opportunity, you give us a finger, we'll take a hand. And so I seized my opportunity at that time. And for the people that were in that market at that time, working from home, it was a great time to be working at a tech job because you had all this time at free, and then like me, I had one or two other jobs at the same time.
Wow.
The biggest point was doing both, once I mastered both at the same time with my schedule and everything. I got another recruiter email saying, hey, do you want to work for a startup? I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see. So at that point, I felt like I was a juggler. I was literally juggling 3 balls at that point. It was very, like my time was at that point stretched. And then that startup just closed down. They ran out of business or whatever. So I went back to my original 2. And we did that for a couple of years. It was pretty nice. It was a good run.
Okay. I got to say, because I remember we were talking earlier how it was hard for you to juggle school and family. But at this point, now you have a kid.
I was used to it at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
So because of your previous experiences and like how crazy your schedule was and time stuff like that, you're saying that helped you manage and juggle 2.
It helped prepare me, like especially when I was working my wall mounting business and having another job or going to school at the same time. I've always been like that multitasker type of person where it's like more than one thing at the same time, because it's just, I always like to like be efficient with my time and then optimize my time as well. And so if I was free, that was like, an opportunity for me to kind of fill that with something. And so, yeah, with Facebook, I was always free. And, Google was a great learning experience as well.
I got a question about that. So the recruiters hit you up. Obviously, you still have to go through like an interview process, right?
Yeah.
Those are tough companies, and they're like multiple round interviews. So
yeah.
What are your like secrets to interviewing at these big companies, big tech giants?
It was tough because like at that time it would take one person to say no. And so I would just get like really friendly with them, be on their good side outside of the interview. And then once they get to know me and then tell them my backside, I would tell them my background, where I came from. And so they really liked that, the challenge of life that I went through, of going through everything that I did or what my parents did or whatever. And they kind of like, all right, this guy is a hustler. He's going to pick up, learn these skills and run with it. And so that's kind of what I did. And so once they saw that, they're like, yeah, just give him a chance, and they let me in the door. Once they let me in the door, I was off to the races.
So keeping it authentic and networking was big. That
was big. Yeah. And because I didn't really I had IT experience, but like working at a big company like Meta or Google, I didn't have that much experience of what they were looking for. So it was more about like, does he have the potential to learn the things that we teach him? And that's what they're open to. And especially with these kids growing up now, going out of school, that's what employers are looking for. They're looking to see if you have an empty cup or a full cup. Because if you have a full cup, there's no space to put anything else. And so if you always come with that, open mind of like, all right, let's see what they want to teach me or what I can learn, what new skills can I learn, then you're always going to have opportunities or new challenges that you can solve.
So based on your experience, you'd say even at the higher levels, at the different higher level roles, even for these big companies, you don't have to know everything to get in. You can shoot your shot. And you could tell them that, hey, look, I'm a fast learner.
Yeah,
you know?
It works. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's your confidence is everything. The way you sell yourself and present yourself is the difference between you getting the job and not getting the job. You believing in yourself will allow the other person to believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, then that energy comes off, and the interviewer can really read off of that. Then they're like, well, if he doesn't believe in himself, why would I give him a chance? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Don't let them
digest.
Don't let them smell the weakness.
For sure. Yeah.
No, that's wild, man. I try to be efficient, but man, working 3 jobs at once with a family,
so
that's crazy.
I had to know all like the IT, the technology stacks, and like all the different methodologies that they used, all the different, because both Meta and Google, they have their own like internal software that they built. They don't use Salesforce, they don't use Jira. They have their own task system or their own Google Data Studio that they're using. So you got to learn all of that, and you got to be experts in all of it. And so like once you do that, then you're pretty much can do anything. Yeah. And so like we did really big projects. Like I had I helped launch the first Facebook store. I was on the global security technologies team. And so all the technology that you can go to it today, the Burlingame store, all the technology that's there, like they have these like IR sensors that does like heat mapping of like where people walk and stuff like that. That was all done through my team. And so like we'd have these really complicated projects, and it would sometimes get very stressful. But I had to just remind myself Fridays are on the corner, 1 week at a time. And then slowly, like you get that, you get stronger. If it doesn't break you, it'll make you stronger. And that's kind of what it did to me.
What was like your role like in Facebook, and then your role in Google? Was it the same, a lot of overlap, or was it completely different tasks?
The cultures at Facebook and Google are completely different. Facebook is more of like a startup mindset where like you're open to work on any project, any team, anywhere. I had like 8 projects at one time with 8 different teams, and each team had like 20 to 30 different people on it. We would have huge calls. It was very like, working together type of culture and like team building and stuff like that. We had weekly calls with like 40, 50 people on it. Google is completely different. It was very, you had one project, one goal, one task at a time. You had one manager above you, and then maybe one engineer to assist you, and that was it. And so you're very like, closed in your, at least for my experience, closed in your corner. You can't really, escape outside of that. So it was a little bit harder to move up or get visibility outside of your team, because you're just trying to like, you're trying to get promoted and stuff like that. So if your boss doesn't like you, I had some experiences at Google where abuse is pretty big, yeah, different story, different time. but yeah, it was pretty big.
Wow. So back to piggyback off you, like time management, right? I'm like in the same boat as Mansoor. I think like time management is it's something I didn't realize is an actual skill. Like people that have mastered that, like are able to maximize their potential. Like you, for example, right?
Yeah.
So how do you build on that skill, right? Do you kind of have to have your back against the wall and just like go through something crazy to like eventually adapt, or is there something you can do to like slowly get better?
It's like a like a David Goggins type of mindset, right? Like it's survivor skills with the combination of like trying to being able to solve problems and open up your mentality to like open up to new ideas. And then at the same time, you have to kind of be a hawk about your time. Like if you're not doing anything from like 10 a.m. to like 4 p.m., dude, that's a lot of time. My biggest challenge right now is going to the gym. Like if I find an hour within my day, or hour and a half, I'm trying to get to the gym as soon as I can, because I know once that window closes, that was your chance for the whole day. You're say goodbye to the gym for that day, you know.
So do you never want to like just chill, just do nothing?
I never knew what that meant. Like, I never knew what that meant. Especially, I felt like my 20s was spent like just taking care of the family. And so now when I'm in my 30s and I'm kind of like, I have a little bit more time on my hands, I'm like, all right, so what do people did in my 20s that I can do now? You know, like, how can I chill? And obviously mostly it's irrelevant. Like, I can't play games. I bought a PS5. I haven't played it, you know, but my chill is like trying to, you know, go to the gym, play basketball, do whatever, hang out with friends, hang out with family, you know, go on picnics, travel. I travel a lot, you know, it's a whole different story.
Is your lifestyle, would you say that's something that's not for everyone? Like, do you have to be built a certain way?
Yeah, because I almost feel like you're like, you were saying like you don't chill, like you haven't chilled. I feel like you're wired that way, low key.
I know, it's kind of weird. I'm like, does this apply to everyone, like you said? And I always think about that. And I look at my brothers and I look at everyone in my life and I'm like, you have to kind of be, you know, built for that, like you said. But I wasn't born that way. Like, life forced me to kind of be like that to survive, and it just stuck with me. But now it's like,
it's who you are now.
It's who I am. Yeah. It's like easy times make easy men, and then hard times make hard men, some stuff like that, right? So yeah, I kind of just had to grow with it, and it stuck with me. I do chill now and then. Like, don't take me wrong. I'm not a robot. But I did go through some like challenging times where, and you would never show it to your family or your friends and stuff. Like, everyone would just think everything is okay. But behind the scenes, you're like, bro, I got a project due for this job. I got a TV mounting customers. One time we had a job where one of my techs, they drilled a hole into a water pipe in a 3-story condo. Oh. And so here I am, like, I'm at the site, you know, the 3rd floor is flooded. It flooded the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. I'm on a work call, like, outside their condo, trying to do both things at the same time. So, like, sometimes, like, it'll get very hectic, and it'll get very challenging. We just have to kind of go with the punches, I guess.
That's like a haymaker.
I just dealt with that. I just dealt with something like that where we drilled into a pipe, and oh my God, like, we turned the water off, and then we left. We were going to come back after the weekend to fix it, but somebody else from the building had turned the water back on, so it had flooded for like a whole day. God. When we came back, because we had cleaned everything up already, and then we had to clean it all up again. Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine, dude.
The worst part was dealing with insurance companies, because like they were so slow. And these people, like, there was like this elderly couple on the 2nd floor, and I was like, bro, I cannot have them, like, bro, their house was damaged. It was done. Their condo was done, and they were renting too, so like they couldn't really do anything. So I had to pay out of pocket. I was like, I felt bad, so I paid out of pocket, and I was like, you know, I'll take care of everything. And so they were very relieved, you know, because if you leave the water there, like, it turns into mold. So I was very scared for that. Yeah. So we brought the restoration company. We did all that. It was like, bro, like $20,000 or $30,000 I paid out of pocket to make sure that they're okay. And in the end, bro, like, as typical Afghans, we always get, you know, screwed. So those people are renters, and the insurance companies gave the checks to the landlord. And so the landlord saw the check, and they're like, they saw the home fixed, and they're like, peace, deuces, I don't have to give this money to you. And so I was out in the hole, like, you know, a lot of money. But
was that your insurance?
It was my insurance, yeah.
Why'd they give money to them?
That's the way it works.
Oh, that's BS.
Yeah,
dude.
They give the money. Like, when you get in a car accident, they give the money to the person that gets hit.
I'm mad right now. I can't imagine how mad you were.
Man, thinking back, so many different stories like that.
Hey, but that's I think that'll come back around, you know, because
sure.
you did the right thing, and I feel like it'll definitely get paid back to you.
That's the mentality that we gotta have, like that good karma, that like good hospitality, good, like, you know, holding the door open for like a stranger. That always will come back around, and I think that's what helps us grow. Like, whenever I give like $5 or give charity or whatever, like, I've always seen it come back to me like tenfold. Yeah, it's this crazy thing.
No, absolutely. Your story even has 2 spectrums. You have the landlord and you have you. Yeah. Right?
The polar opposites.
For sure. Yeah.
Who are you gonna be, Sadiq or the landlord?
It's a real story. Yeah.
But back to the time management thing, and like, you know, if you're like built for this, you know, I feel like at least I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that would not be able to live like the way like you are with your lifestyle and like the jobs you've had, because they're just not built for it. You know, like I feel even me at some point, like I wouldn't, not that I wouldn't be able to do it. I feel like I wouldn't be happy, and I feel like that would like drive me not to do it. You know, so I give you a lot of credit, a lot.
Yeah. The best way to find out is just do what I did.
Try it.
Try it. Yeah.
One thing I notice is like, if I don't have a lot on my plate,
Yeah.
I start to waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then I notice like when I have a really tough week at work, because I'm balancing projects, family business, all kinds of stuff, right? And then I start to value my free time more.
Yeah.
And then the week after, I like utilize every free minute I have just because I remember the week before.
Exactly.
And like, you know, it scares me. Like I'd never want to be in that position again.
Yeah.
So I feel like getting married at 20 and like just, you know, going through all that.
Yeah.
You know, having the kid and the jobs and the business and going to school, right?
Yeah.
I think that kind of set you up to like, you're always going to maximize your time because you've been there and done that. And it wasn't a week. We're talking years, you know?
I know the value of time. Like, I know, obviously people know the value of time more than me, but like, I appreciate time. If I ever get time that's free like that, like right now in my life, I'm traveling. I'm not staying home because it's like, I want to see the world now. I want to see, you know, get that perspective from other places, other people, other cultures and stuff like that, you know? So everyone's always like, bro, it's like 4th of July or whatever. Like, why are you not home? Or like, why'd you go to LA for a week? I'm like, because I can't stay home, you know? It's just my mentality now.
How's your traveling? Like, what are some of your favorite spots? Where have you gone recently?
Yeah. Recently we've been doing like local spots like LA, San Diego, stuff like that. But, you know, my favorite spot was probably Bora Bora. It was really nice. Super chill place.
Did you go anywhere for your honeymoon?
My honeymoon, we went to Hawaii. It was really funny because we were 20, right? So we couldn't rent a car. The only thing we could get was a moped. So we were riding around the island with the moped. And
that's a vibe.
It was nice,
yeah.
At that time. And then we couldn't really afford a nice hotel. So we found a decent condo. And then like on the door, it said like, oh, the combination to the house is like 0000. And we're like, hell no, we're not staying here. Because, like, obviously the first code you can guess is all zeros. My wife was super scared. We went to a hotel, bro, and we were checking in. All of a sudden, this cat rolls by, and my wife is scared of cats. She sees the cat, and she runs into the middle of the street, almost get hit by a car. I'm like, bro, what happened? I didn't even know this. Like, I was like, what's going on? She's like, there was a cat that walked by the office. I'm like, it was just a cat. But yeah, fun times when you're getting the first couple of years of like that honeymoon phase is like super memorable. You think back later, 14 years down the line, you're like, man, that was like, you've seen where you've gone from to where you are now, and you appreciate all that time that you spent in between. Because let's be honest, like, we're not the greatest of all guys, like we're not there 100% of the time. Like, we try our best, but sometimes it's not enough. But like, so having the wife there and sticking through all that challenges and that growing phase with you and being there, like, you appreciate her more because, like, who else would do that other than a person that loves you so much,
That's the biggest thing about it. Like, when it's unconditional, it's just different.
It's different. Yeah.
If you could go back, is there anything that you would do differently, like you personally?
I don't think so, no. I think if I did anything differently, it would screw everything up and I wouldn't be here where I am right now. So I'm like, no, just keep me where I'm at. Alhamdulillah, like, God's been really good to all of us and giving us the opportunity. So yeah, man. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, man.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So what was your favorite destination?
Favorite destination was Bora Bora, but I did travel a lot to Dubai. My kids and my favorite special place is Dubai. The reason being is everything's halal. The place is super clean. The hotels are really nice. We stayed one time at the Palms Hotel where they have the water slides. Bro, like, everything they say is like, you feel like they're exaggerating. Like, the biggest water slide in the world or like the biggest whatever drop it literally is whatever they exaggerate. Like they're not exaggerating. It's legit, like not just, all just the hype. And so we would go there, like my favorite restaurant, we would go to Dubai Mall. And we only eat halal. So like it was the only place in the world where we can go to like CPK or like what's the other pasta restaurant that's really popular in every mall?
You looking
Cheesecake
at the
Factory, sorry. Cheesecake Factory. Bro, their pasta over there was on point. Like I literally would move just for that pasta. The chicken pasta. Yeah. It was amazing.
Did you were you driving when you were out there?
In Dubai?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I recently came from Dubai too, and I was driving. I was a designated driver, and man, that's an interesting place to drive.
I was so scared,
Those
man.
roundabouts?
Yeah.
Oh, another thing I noticed is every time, like, people would, like, be taking, like, an exit and going off the ramp, and then they'll realize it's, like, the wrong one, and then they just throw them. Because I did it myself so many times.
Yeah.
But then me and my dad were, like, cracking up because we noticed so many people doing that, too. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like, are always moving in there. Like, people are always new.
Yeah.
And it's such a big city, bro. I think it's
so
one of
big.
the longest cities in the world.
Yeah.
So you could be driving for, like, 30 minutes on the highway.
Yeah. And
but
the next
still be in
exit.
Dubai.
Yeah, exactly. And the next exit, it's not for like another 10 minutes. And people are like, I'm not wasting 10 minutes.
So many exits. I missed so many exits. I got honked at the roundabout. But you know what was crazy? I didn't feel like I was doing, like, I didn't feel like
You're at a
like I
place.
was standing out. Everybody was doing it.
Yeah. Like if you're not doing it, you're kind of weird.
Did you have that
Yeah.
same experience?
Yeah, but it's kind of crazier now because like they have all these cameras there taking pictures if you're speeding and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So when we rented our car, the lady was like, dude, if you get a speeding ticket or if you run a red light in Dubai, it's like 50,000 dirhams. I put that in my phone converter. I was like, bro, it's like $10,000 or something like some crazy amount. I was like, all right, note to self, don't run any red lights.
10? Oh my god!
I actually got a speeding ticket.
No way.
But I don't know how it never got back to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was driving and, big open roads. And it was late at night because everybody goes out there at night when it's dark and it's not as hot.
Yeah.
And, the roads are empty and I don't even know how fast I'm going.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, it's just a light.
Yeah.
Just a light hits me. And my dad's like, yeah, they got you. And then I looked and I had gone over like the speed limit. And I'm still waiting. Like, are they going to send me something? I don't know. Because I was renting too.
Yeah. No, they would. I don't know what they would do, but I did the same thing. So like, I had a camera it took my picture. My wife is next to me, like, you're dead. And I knew it too. I knew I was dead.
Oh,
so when we went to check in the car, and they were gonna take it out of the deposit, I was expecting like a bill or something. And I got everything back. And I felt like, I just like, let's just go to the airport and let's just leave and never come back. Yeah, we bounced.
Never come back.
They made a mistake and I don't care.
I hope nobody from Dubai is watching this.
I hope not, please.
They got like facial recognition and stuff there.
Yeah,
too.
I'm definitely done. Yeah.
Sadiq, have you ever been back to Afghanistan?
No, but I really want to go.
Do you have family back there?
I don't have family. No.
So if you went, it would be more as like you'd be going as a tourist. Like
I'd be going as a tourist. Yeah, trying to see what's out there. I met a couple of people actually when I went to Umrah. I met people that were from Afghanistan, and I met a couple of different tourists. Made a couple of friends. Shout out to Farhan. And so he's always been telling me like, hey, whenever you come to Afghanistan, hit me up. I'll come take you around, and we'll tour the whole country. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I feel like now it's at a better place where you could do that. Where compared to like 10 years ago, it's like, bro, my life is in danger. You just don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Does your family ever like want to go back, or do they go back?
My in-laws just came back from there a couple months ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So and they loved it, and they're like, it was so chill. And so I was like, bro, why are we not going? My dad is dying to go. So like, if I go, my dad's gonna go.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Were you born there?
I was born here.
So you've never been to Afghanistan?
I've never been to Afghanistan.
Same here. I've never been.
And
It's
so
a dream, right?
It's a dream, yeah. Like I see all those pictures and like those videos on TikTok and stuff. I'm like, bro, does this place actually exist? And then my parents always talk about like the anar, the pomegranates.
Yeah.
It's like there's different in Afghanistan.
That's the first thing you have to go try.
I swear that's a.
Oh, actually, you probably been to it in Dubai. I'm sure you took your kids. What is that place? The Global Village.
Yes.
there's an
Yeah, there
Afghanistan
is.
market.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
we went to the Afghanistan market. We were all like, that's where first place we're
Yeah.
going, right? So I went there with my mom, dad, and my wife. All four of
Yeah.
us, we went, and we go in and we get shiriach,
Yep.
fire.
Yep.
But I've always had good shiriach. We got pomegranate juice, fresh pomegranate juice. Okay.
Yeah.
And I tasted it, and my wife didn't even want any.
Yeah.
Or she wasn't into it. It was so good. I was like, just try it.
Yeah.
She took a sip. She's like, okay, I want one. And I was like, I've never had pomegranate juice this good. So I went to the guy and I asked him, I was like, where are these pomegranates from? I had a feeling, because, in Afghanistan, they always say
Yeah.
the pomegranates from Kandahar are
Yeah.
like unmatched.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, these are straight from Afghanistan. They're straight from Kandahar. I was like, dude, there was like, there's like
That's
truth
legit.
to what they've been saying,
Yeah.
because it was honestly next level, dude. That pomegranate juice was crazy.
That's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is like all the fruits. Their fruit season's crazy.
Cantaloupe,
Yeah.
those
Watermelons.
long berries, mulberries. They have mulberries.
Toot, Inzir, man. Now, when I look at the Inzir, though, it's kind of weird because it's like on a string, and it's been sitting
that's
there.
The dried ones.
Yeah, the dried ones. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if that's sanitary.
Well, do you guys eat the dried beef or dried lamb, like the landi or?
Oh, London, yeah. Like from here,
It's the same thing, bro. I love it too. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but
yeah.
I'm gonna sound so uncultured. I don't even know what lundi is.
You haven't seen the meat hanging off the door in the garage or somewhere in the house?
No.
It's very uncommon nowadays. Like I haven't. If my grandparents usually did that. Like my parents never did
I
that either.
love it. We call it goshtaqaq at home.
Yeah.
Dude, everybody in my family loves it.
Oh,
Like,
really?
We go crazy over that thing.
Yeah.
What Eat's favorite?
Wait, doesn't like it. He's the only one. Yeah, we talked about it in his podcast. I
Oh,
think.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you been to any other country in the Middle East?
In the Middle East, Dubai, Turkey. I went to Turkey. I've been to Turkey like 3-4 times. The most recent time I did a hair transplant. So it's another thing that I kind of did. So now I look back, when I was in my 20s, I had a lot of hair loss going through that was coming about. And it was in my family. Like you look at my dad, my uncles, everyone is just like bald,
Very common amongst
Yeah,
Afghans. Yeah.
yeah.
Same here.
So like it was this very big thing where like, oh, you shouldn't talk about it. But I was like, there's nothing to hide. So I made sure to spread the word. And so I went to Turkey. It was like, this place called Turkiana. Went to the clinic. It was like a 5-star hotel, but it was a doctor office. And I went through the whole thing. It was like a 2-day procedure, 8 hours each day, just laying down. They just like one by one put a new hair cell in. And so it was really fun. I was there for it was a big trip. It was like 6 weeks trips, 6-week trip, 3 weeks in Dubai, 3 weeks in Turkey. And the last like week was the operation. And then I went home. And so it was pretty chill.
Is it a painful operation?
So it depends on your pain tolerance for sure. Cause like the biggest painful thing is when they're putting the anesthesia in your head. So if you can imagine a bowl of cereal, like a bowl that you put cereal in, and they just drop all the anesthesia in there, and then they just get they start filling it up, the syringe, and they just, for 30 minutes, they're going around your head in a circle, each little spot one by one, hitting you up until you feel nothing in the completely in your whole area. Because if you do feel something and they're putting that 3-inch needle or whatever in your head, you're going to be in complete pain. So that 30 minutes of pain is the only pain that you'll only feel throughout the whole day.
Just 30 minutes.
Just 30 minutes. If you can survive that 30 minutes, you're good.
Man, I'm telling you, Sadiq is built different. He's the only person that can make 30 minutes of pain sound like it's nothing.
He's like, oh, it's just the 30 minutes.
Bro, there was a big, tall guy in the room next to me, and he was screaming his head off. So it kind of depends, bro. It's up to you. It's a good test.
Oh, man.
But, yeah.
I'm not looking forward to when I have to do that.
I don't think you guys have that problem. Yeah.
Every Afghan has that problem. It's just a matter of
We
time.
will get there, bro.
Yeah. But definitely recommend it because it really helps out. Because then it's there for the rest of your life, and it makes a huge difference.
So you don't have to continue taking any medication or anything?
No, I don't do anything. I use their shampoo that I bought. They oversell you on the shampoo and all the medicine, And I bought 6 months worth of supply, and the only thing I used was shampoo. And I mean, it's whatever. I need to use shampoo anyway, so like, I just use theirs. Yeah.
Now, this might be a stupid question, but so after you get this operation, do you just have hair in like those spots forever, like till?
Yeah. So they bring it's called a hair follicle or a hair molecule, whatever. They implant it there. They remove it from your side. They put it in your front, and it's there forever. People go multiple times if they want it more thicker, but that whatever they can pull the first time, it's gonna stay there until forever. And then you'll get new hair growth on where they took it out, so it kind of covers itself up.
Is it true it doesn't work on everyone?
It depends. Yeah, that's true. Like if you waited too long, I recommend go early, like earlier in your 20s or 30s if you have that problem. If you go in your 40s and 50s, the results, the amount that they will tell you that they can pull out, it's less and less because all that hair that's on the side of your head has now died. So like you need to get it while your hair is healthy on the side or whatever your donor area is.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's your message to people that want to go but they're so iffy? Because I know so many people like that. They want to do it. There's just, I don't know what's holding them back. They're just maybe scared. Maybe it's
I
the
don't know
pain
what
thing.
it is.
I don't
Like
know.
it's because they haven't seen or been introduced to it or like seen enough use cases. Like if it's for the money, like it only costs you a couple $1,000s. If it's for the travel, like you're going to Turkey, like you're gonna have the time of your life. If you're going for the pain, it's literally not that much. You'll survive it. Like I exaggerate a little bit, but you'll survive. And then like there's no downside because your hair is gonna only look better. Like if you go to a really good place, like obviously don't go in like the place in the corner or like in between the streets. Like go to a reputable place, spend a little bit extra money, just make sure it's nice, and then get it done. And then you won't regret it ever. Like you'll start seeing results like immediately, like 3-4 months after you start to see like your hairline's completely back. And so you're like, hey, maybe I could just like keep my head at this level my whole life and I'll be fine. But then you kind of like just grow it out and like, okay, all right, cool. I'm more and more comfortable with this. Like if you see my before phase, you feel like me 10 years ago, you feel like I'm 34 at that time. And then 24 now, so like it's a complete. You wouldn't be able to tell which picture is older, based on that before and after picture.
No, it's true. For men, like hair makes a huge difference.
Can't do makeup.
I don't know. I think times have changed.
Yeah, I don't know. But beard lineups and haircuts, that's our bread and butter for guys.
Straight up.
Yeah. And
I feel bad for the people that can't grow a beard and, lose their hair like on top.
Oh yeah, that's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad. They're like, how do you grow your beard like that? I'm like, genetics. I really don't know what to tell them because I never did anything for my beard. But like you'll see people with just like patches and stuff. I'm like, I heard if you keep shaving it, it might get bigger. I just don't know what to tell you.
I don't know if any of those things are ever true. Like everyone always has
False
their
hope.
own like tips and tricks. They're like, do this, do that. My barber even was telling me certain things when I was like 18, 17.
Yeah.
Like, oh, try this, try this.
Yeah.
He himself has no beard telling me this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, because I go to the same barber as him too. Like, I told him I had my own version of what to do.
Oh, you told him?
Yeah, I told him, I was like, look, you're never going to know. Like, I know right now it looks like you can't grow it, but you'll never know until you just let it grow for like, give it like 6 months even.
Yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes the hair will grow, like, even though you thought there was
slow.
no like follicle there, like something will grow. Like, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing happened to me because like my face, I would shave it and it looked clean, right? Like almost there was nothing there for me like to grow, and then when COVID hit, you never had to look fresh anymore because you were home all day. So I just didn't shave for like 3 months. I was like, wait, I can grow like a little beard, I grow something.
It looks good, bro.
Thank you, but yeah, it was like, but like I'm telling you, because my hair, like my beard hair is thin, so like when I used to shave it, looked like there was like nothing would even grow. But so from my experience, I told him just grow it, and now he has like a full like our barber.
It works.
He has like a full what is that called? Like a strap.
Yeah.
He has like a whole strap, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to your barber.
Shout out to my
Needs to hook
barber.
you up. Yeah. But I mean, it's a big thing for guys because like we said, we don't do makeup, but like for girls, bro, every wedding, every engagement, like the prices are crazy nowadays. Like you need a job just to take care of your makeup events. Like it's $300 to do your face. Like I feel bad for them. That's like crazy. Inflation really hit these makeup artists. I don't know why.
No, trust me, I know. I know. I'm going through it with my girl right now, and she's telling me like the prices and all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I thought
it's a big industry.
It's a huge industry. I'm like, how do we get into that?
My wife's a makeup artist, so I know, and I'm like, all power to you. Like that's just another thing for Afghan women to get like, involved and grow within themselves. They, instead of working in a career, like some people choose different career paths, so mine chose a makeup artist, and she's loving it. You get your own schedule, you set your own prices. I just feel bad for the clients. But like it's supply demand, and the demand is high. It's super high right now.
If it wasn't her, it would be someone else. Like the job needs to be done, and that's the price. That's what it.
Yeah, if you want her to do it, if you like her work, then you're gonna have to pay for it. And they come calling, especially brides.
Yeah.
Brides, man. Bitch.
I know you've actually connected or I've heard that you've connected with like NFL like players like through your like.
Yeah, so like we have like high profile, like my wife, we went to the Super Bowl because she did the makeup for the Chiefs players' wives. Wow. And so she went to the property where all the players were staying.
Were you with her?
I did not go because I'm a Niners fan. So it was a bittersweet moment for me. So I stayed back, and she went onto the property, did all the makeup. It was like 4 of the different player wives at the time.
Wow.
And so she's, getting that exposure. It really helps out.
That's fire.
That's really good.
It was pretty cool.
Really
good experience.
Businesses where like you get exposure or have opportunity to have like high profile clients, like I feel like those are really good. Like I met like this guy who's like a trainer, and a lot of his clients are very like wealthy, and like some of them are even like celebrities, so like they bring their kids and he trains them.
Yeah.
And like he has so many perks like just through that connection, so there's like so many benefits that go beyond just like the job that you're doing.
A lot of people trash the service industry, and for us Afghans, like we don't really sell many products, like especially growing up. Like we would flip a lot of stuff, but we would never produce our own like new the new thing for especially for tech. So for service tech, for the service industry, that was our bread and butter. And so for like a lot of people trash on it because they're like, well, you're only capped based on the time that you have. But my counter argument to it is like, well, then you just increase the price, supply demand. And so you kind of offset having a product or having a having a service. So it helps out in that sense.
I never even thought about that. But yeah, I don't think Afghans, and like at least maybe today, are not major innovators, but we're really good like integrators. Like we do a really good job of like doing services.
We'll get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. We'll find a way.
Show us how to do it, and we'll do it 100 times better.
I know. I swear. My dad, my car like messed up, and my dad's like a coworker who's also Afghan. He like does like mechanic work on the side. So something that happened to the car, and my dad was like, "Yeah, he'll come to the house and check it because the car either needed to be towed or like there was no other way of checking it unless he took it to a shop."
Yeah.
Came. Mind you, he does this like on the side, like even himself, like he even like doesn't know like a lot. So he came, found what the problem was in like 30-40 minutes. Him and his like 9-year-old son, like I'm not kidding, when I came to check, because they fixed the entire car, his 9-year-old son was like finishing up the last part. And I was talking to him, he was like, I want to start him young, make sure like, and his son was like really into that kind of stuff. And I know there's a lot of like Afghan people that do a lot of like mechanical work and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, like you said, Afghans will find a way.
They'll find a way
and get the job done.
Yeah.
That guy was a prime example.
His son's gonna grow up to be like one of our best friends. You know who his son's gonna be, right?
Yes.
You know who you are too if you watch this.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with Afghans today, like, there's a lot of young youth going through the career route, either becoming engineers or doctors. But if that route isn't open for you, then I would definitely open myself up to doing other types of service industries. Like a big thing for me was like car wrapping. Like I always wanted to get into that because it's like low cost, but like you can charge like $4,000 or $5,000 a car.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things I'm thinking about is actually starting like a Afghan Shark Tank. I think it's super cool because Afghans have crazy ideas.
Afghan
right?
Shark Tank.
Fire.
We just got to find the sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find the sharks.
We got to
Sharks.
find the billionaire Afghans.
Yeah.
And then
we'll start small, man. It'll be us three.
I ain't got
We'll
money
be
there.
seed investors.
I'm a minnow right now.
I got to come with the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
We'll have him be the
shark,
the lone shark.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking big multi-million-dollar investments, but we'll start small. I just think that Afghans have so many great ideas and they never get heard. And if they're to get heard or be put on a platform, like something like this even, like one of them's going to catch fire.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be crazy.
Do you think one of the reasons that's happening is because of like the surroundings of Afghans, like discouraging them, like, no, you're crazy, what are you doing, don't waste your time?
Yeah, because they really haven't seen it, you know, like Afghans have never been in the Afghans in America have not been pioneers. They've been trying to survive. And so now that we got time to get these ideas going, I think right now we need to encourage the ideas to come out and encourage ideas to get heard, because you just never know. And it's what's the worst that can happen? Someone doesn't like it, then who cares? Move on.
And I've noticed that honestly, like especially with the new generation stuff, people are so encouraging.
Yeah.
They honestly will encourage you. We've got so much encouragement with, you know, with the podcast. And
Yeah.
I mean, I myself, like, I see young Afghan kids, you know, if I see that they have a strength in something, I'm like, please, dude, just pursue it. Just go for it. Like, don't worry about anything. Like, you can make it happen. This is the land of opportunities. You just, honestly, over here, if you could do it and if you're good at it, people will recognize that.
Yeah.
That's all that matters at the end of the day.
I think the biggest difference between now and then was that you would have, like, you know, like for my example, was growing up in the flea market, we would sell electronics. You know, that was our niche. And then it would work. We'd make a lot of money. And then like other people would see that and they would copy the same stuff, like other Afghans. And so like it kind of took, you know, the mentality was like, you're taking money out of my pocket and putting it into yours. But now we're understanding, like, dude, this land is so big. Like, you have opportunity for everyone. Like, if I give you an idea and you take it and run with it, like, I still have my own self and my own capabilities and grow within myself as well.
Yeah.
So that's the hugest difference right now. And so that's why you just gotta keep going, keep growing.
I've always noticed that, you know, like, once an Afghan gets successful in a particular area or industry, every Afghan hops in. Right now, the tow industry, at least the people I know, like one major Afghan family gets successful in it. And now all the other Afghans are like, all right, we're starting a tow company. We're getting a tow truck. We're getting into this. Not to throw shade, but that's just how, like, you know, I've just noticed that trend. Like, I'm saying in the tow industry, but I'm sure like that applies to many different things.
Yeah, it's a bad stigma that's applied that needs to kind of get removed, because as Muslims also we need to realize, like, all risk is from Allah. So like you shouldn't have that mentality of like, oh, he's copying my business. Like, you should. I feel like we need to cooperate and like get bigger. You know, why can't we have one big business together? Yeah. That's another thing. Like, why do we have 100 different grocery markets? Why can't we have one chain? There's so many Ranch 99s in the Bay Area. Like, I see nothing like that in the Afghan community. Like, I think that's the next step, is to kind of like consolidate and get powerful.
We have to get organized so that way we can have businesses that complement each other, if anything. And if it's like that, everyone can actually maximize, you know, their growth and their profits versus, you know, like you said, you know, taking a chunk of what his sales or his profits would have been.
Yeah, for sure. Because like, imagine if we had our own organization. Like, if you look at other communities, like whatever money that comes in the household, they'll spend it within their community like 10 times over. Asian communities, black communities, whatever it may be. But with the Afghan communities, like, they'll never go to a store if they don't like their bread or something like that, or if that guy looked at him wrong or whatever. But like, you should be kind of like building together rather than like staying in your own little circle.
100%. 100%.
So the question I have is, I find it interesting because, you know, all three of us, like, our parents grew up in Afghanistan, so like I could totally understand, like, growing up there was a lot of, when I was go to school, there was a lot of distrust of like, oh, who are you hanging out with, just because they weren't aware of the culture, you know. They're like, you know, what kind of people are you hanging out with, what kind of values do they have? They don't know if our values are going to match or not. What are you learning from them and whatnot? So I know it was very difficult for them to raise kids here. You were born here and raised here. And you have kids now, you know, they're going to school and stuff. Do you find yourself feeling similarly, or is it different? How do you manage raising kids here, even though you were born and raised here? It's
scary because, like, you see a lot of different studies being done, and they're like, your kids are become the friends or the parents of the friends that they hang around with. So it's like, how do you find out who they are? So, like, with my first kid, I was very scared. So, like, I had them she went through her first, like, you know, up to 3rd grade. She was in an Islamic school. And then I realized, you know, there's good and bad in every culture and every different type of school. So you had to kind of raise them strong within themselves and get those kind of strong character traits. So where that if they're surrounded by like negativity or by like things that she should not be or he should not be doing, then it's not going to affect them. So that was kind of my mentality going into it. And so especially with my second one, it's like, your daughters are a different breed in general than sons, because you have to be more like, you know, merciful and like, you know, give them more love and attention. But it's also scarier because like, you know, with girls they're more, it's you know, it could be really scary for them. So I just make sure that I see who they hang out with. I see like who their friends are. I pay attention. Like, I'll be in the background kind of like noticing, you know, or they're, you know, the biggest thing right now is group chats. Like, every kid has like 10 group chats that they're in. Like, I never had these many group chats. So like 3rd graders will have like a whole class group chat, and then they'll have like 4 other sub group chats within there. And so like, you have to monitor that, because that's where bullying comes in, and that's where cyberbullying comes in. And you really need to step in early, because like, you don't want to step in when it's too late. And you need kind of like, your kids are a different person online. That's another thing. All these different games, Roblox, all these different games that they're playing. It's like, bro, you kind of have to see and correct them from the get-go. Because if you don't, and you let them grow up 15, 16, 17 years old, and you're trying to correct their vocabulary, bro, it's too late. Like, you should have done that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? So that's my one advice I would give to like any parents raising their kid in America. Yeah.
I like that. Preventative measures. Ahead of time. You
have to. Yeah. That's how you prevent cancer, right? You can't cure it after you get it unless they go through like crazy chemotherapy, but like, it's the same thing applies here.
Absolutely.
So as a parent, you think it's always better to like take, like you said, like be preventative versus like reactionary, like wait for something to happen.
For sure. Like like you always want your kid to be like the good influence in her friend group or his friend group. Like, you want them to kind of be like for my daughter, like, she fasts every Ramadan, like ever since she was like age 5. And so like, her teacher, even like in the Islamic school, is telling her like, hey bro, you need to chill, like, you don't need to do that. But she was like so stuck on like, you know, making sure that, you know, she fulfills the requirements. My parents are doing this, so I got to do it too, that she just stuck to it. Like, even till now, she just does it every Ramadan. She'll do her 30-day fast. And so like, you got to kind of make them in love with the values that you're teaching them, so that it's not like, you know, you can't beat them with the stick. You got to give them a carrot. That's the only thing. If you beat them with the stick, they're going to run away. If you give them a carrot, you know, they're going to come around. You be their friend. Yeah, I try to be my daughter's best friend. And if you're not their best friend, then someone else is their best friend. And that's who they're going to get their opinions from and, you know, get influenced the most from.
Man.
You guys got time, man.
Facts, dude. I know who to call.
1-800.
1-800.
Just make sure it doesn't go to the Philippines.
You call him, it gets redirected to Philippines.
Just get me in touch with Sadiq.
Relationships issues, dial 1. Kids issues, dial 2.
I'm always dialing 0. I need to get to a human.
You call him first. It goes through like his business, and then it goes through Facebook, and then it goes through Google, and then it goes through Nvidia, and then you can finally reach the boss.
And then they're like, who is this guy?
Man, we didn't even get to Nvidia.
Nvidia is crazy right now.
Nvidia is crazy.
Okay, I know you know a lot about Nvidia. I know nothing about Nvidia, and I hear about it all the time, and I've just been hearing about it like in the last couple years. It's like it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like it didn't exist before. I'm sure it did. Can you give me like to a total noob? What's Nvidia? What's it all about? What's going on?
So before I joined Nvidia, my idea of it was that they make like graphic cards for like video game consoles or like computers, or they'll make like chips for whatever. When I got into Nvidia and I start seeing what we're doing, they're powering AI. Everything that's built, all these mother computers, it's all built on the Nvidia platform, Nvidia chips, and they really scale to the like horizontally where you can't, if it doesn't work with anything else, so you kind of have to go with that whole ecosystem. They're very vertically integrated, and it works really well. Like no one's able to like reproduce it. The craziest thing about Nvidia is they don't make anything. They have the plans, they have the patents, they have all the drawings, and they go to someone like Foxconn and they'll make everything for them.
What was the change? Because man, they're the second highest market cap right now in the world.
Yeah, they're like they flip flop between 1 and 2 now.
And pre 2020, like they weren't even like anywhere near that, right?
Yeah. The biggest change is AI, because AI needs something powerful to run on.
Right.
And Nvidia's chips are the most powerful things that are out there right now.
Who's the biggest competitor to Nvidia right now?
I have no idea, but like I think like AMD or like some of these other chip factories, but it's a very distant second. Like Nvidia's here, everyone else is down here.
So right they have most of the market share right now.
They have most of the market share, and their market cap's crazy. And their potential, like it's not based, like their stock price is not based on hype. It's based on actual sales and their actual growth that they're doing. So like the amount of growth that they're going to continue to do as AI is growing, like AI is not going anywhere. It's going to just continue to evolve. If anything, it'll get more efficient. And that's on top of their other side business that they're doing for like 10 years of all these other graphic cards and like chips and computers and stuff like that. Now it's like on the level of like Facebook wants to have their own machine learning system within their ecosystem. All right, let's contact Nvidia and get 1,000 of these supercomputers in our network. Yeah.
Is this a space that I think China's trying to break into with the whole chip making? Is there competition coming from China right now?
Their biggest competitor is in China.
Okay.
And there's always like these trade wars going on between America and China, right? And so Nvidia is caught in the middle of it right now. So like they'll invest in a factory in Vietnam now instead of if they were going to go to Taiwan, for example. So my job in Nvidia right now is I'm in IT, and I support the building of these contract manufacturing sites outside of Nvidia. So like I work with the Foxconns and like the Wistrons and stuff like that. And so we'll build in sites like Mexico or Vietnam, and there'll be mega sites because we can't build in places like in China. And that's the biggest thing right now.
How do you like working for Nvidia?
It's very different. Like working through all 3 different tech companies that I've been at, and talking to a lot of other people that worked at other ones like Amazon, stuff like that. Nvidia has been like the most opened type of work culture that I've been at. They're very flexible. Like it's really weird. I've never been at a company where it's so horizontal. Like I can talk to the VP of Nvidia. I talk to them like, every now and then. It'll be nothing. Like I would never imagine myself at Google or Facebook doing that. I'll make a presentation, and that presentation gets presented like to the CEO of Foxconn. And so like, there's no vertical structure. It's mostly horizontal, and it's very intentional. They want it to be like that so their motto is like moving at the speed of light.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it.
Is the workforce much smaller than the other tech companies? Like, are there less employees?
There's less employees, but I feel like the ones that I've talked to are a lot smarter, and they're really experts in their domain. So like they'll be the one person that's there, but they're doing the work of 10 people, like with their eyes closed. So it's like they're very intelligent people that are working there, and they've been there for a long time. So a lot of these people are sitting on gold mines. Like,
oh man, those stock options probably go crazy
pre-IPO
right now.
stocks, man. Shout out to them. And I'm like, why are you working?
Yeah, why are you working? Yeah. They probably had to build some kind of other incentive to keep them, right? Because
for them, it's all passion. They're like, what am I gonna do at home? You know, there's like some crazy people. They're like, I want to build supercomputers, you know, and I can't do it anywhere else.
Wow.
You can only get into building supercomputers if you really care about it.
Yeah, there's no other way. Like this was considered a nerd space, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like, you know, getting so hyped up. But those people are still there. They started 20, 30 years ago. They have the same passion as they did back then.
Did you get into Nvidia before the boom, or was it during or after?
It was after. It was recent. It's been like going on a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just asking because I wanted to know, like, if you had any insight how the company changed. Like, how did they handle like the explosion of growth within such a short period of time?
Within the company, like one of the great things I like working about Nvidia is they're so flexible with like not having hard policies, like working from home. Like there's no work from home or hybrid policy with them. They're like, if you want to work from home, you could. If you want to come to the office, come to the office. So they've been they're very efficient with their money too. Like at Google and Facebook, we would get free food. You know, I never went to Facebook, but after COVID, like we would go every now and then. We'd get free food, and it'd be really nice. But you could tell, like it was very like, it was too extra. Like you're getting, like they would throw away a lot of food too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of waste. From a company perspective, they're wasting a lot of money. From an individual perspective, it's like the greatest perk. But then going to Nvidia, like they don't have that, so they charge like $5 or $6, $7 a meal, but then you get a really good meal, and they have halal food too. So it was pretty cool. So they're very efficient in their expenses, and they don't overhire. I think that's another thing that they did. They grew within their business, and they outsourced a lot of these manufacturing things, but they kept their like core, you know, kind of small, and it really helped them scale up a lot faster.
That's big, because I feel like one of the reasons the tech layoffs happened was because of overhiring.
Yeah. Yep.
Breaking less hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it puts a really bad image of a company when they do big layoffs. It's better to anticipate that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that really hurt the layoff movement was when Elon just like laid off most of Twitter.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened, right? And so it was like the perfect use case of like
everyone was like, we're gonna do
everything.
it.
Yeah, everything was fine. Everything still survived. It didn't fall apart.
Yeah.
And then all the other CEOs were like, well, let's do the same thing. And so that's why you see like Facebook, Amazon, and Google, and them doing the same thing, and nothing really happening. And so it really tells a big story.
So here's the $1 million question.
What's up?
Between the three tech giants, which one do you feel has a higher workload?
Higher workload?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely Nvidia has a higher workload, but it's more rewarding. Like you feel like you're doing something worthwhile. Like you don't get, like when I was at Facebook, you never get a chance to like write the CEO, you know, Mark, a presentation or present to him. Yeah. Even though I was I was a program manager. But at Nvidia, like every week my stuff gets reported to the CEO of Foxconn or like these other contract manufacturers that we're working with. And we're telling them that they're either doing a good job or a bad job. You know, if they're working up to our IT standards, that was my job. And so you really don't get that exposure. So it's kind of rewarding in that sense. Yeah. You're growing with it.
You feel like you're making more of an impact and it's more visible.
Yeah. If I'm not making impact, I get bored. And that's what happened in COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of what you're doing right now is like communication work, right?
Communication work, organizational work.
Organization. Okay.
Connecting the dots, connecting the people.
So, did you grow up speaking Pashto at home?
Half and half. Like I didn't really know Pashto until I got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because like your parents are flexible, they're merciful to you. So like if you grow up English, like they're like, all right, that's the only thing he knows. Like let's do it. But then when you get married, it's like your wife's like, you don't know Pashto? Like what kind of kandare are you? I'm like, oh man, I need to step my game up.
Did you get roasted in your in-laws' house?
Bro, the first couple of years, they never roasted me, no. But I felt like I'm lacking in that sense, you know. Like I need to kind of like get to that level, and then it helped out.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, like, I know a lot of people, like, have that language barrier, too, because once you get into the professional environment, right, there's, like, all these buzzwords, and, you know, the communication is so important, especially you're presenting to a CEO, you know, and that's a challenge a lot of Afghans face, too, is they might be born and raised here, but they're speaking a different language half the time.
That's true. Presentation skills, like, and you kind of have to, like, for communication, you kind of have to carry those same social cues or like emotional intelligence over to like this, like, you know, how to write an email or how to pitch. You got to think about, like, when you're writing an email, like how's the other person going to receive what you're saying to them, and you got to kind of think of everything that you're doing, especially to upper management, so that when they read it, you kind of already thought ahead of them, and so it's already laid out to them on the silver platter, and so you're giving them that Afghan virtual, you know, experience through an email. I've seen that it kind of works.
No, you're on the money, because I've learned that just through like the leaders I've had.
Yeah.
And when they tell me to draft an email or draft this,
Yeah.
and they'll come back with like, "Did you think about this? Did you think about that? Did you think about that?" I'm like, no. But it's like it eliminates like having a whole chain of like unnecessary and unneeded like communication, where you could just condense it, think of everything, all done in like.
You got to interpret for your audience, and if you don't do that interpretation, then they'll do it for themselves, and it takes so much time. And then if you have like 15 people on an email chain, let's just say, each person is going to spend 20 minutes doing that, and if you just do it up front for them right there, boom, you save all that time. Yeah.
I think there's like a wealth of knowledge that, you know, we can keep asking you about when it comes to just getting married so young, and then being 34 and having worked at like all these big companies. I mean, me and him, especially like as young professionals, you know, we can sit here and ask questions all night.
For sure.
So I think we're probably going to have you back on. But I do want to close with a message that you have, anything that you feel passionate about, or anything you feel like that needs to be shared to the Afghan community as a whole. And you can target whichever audience you want, young or old.
Yeah, especially for the I mean, it's, you kind of have to define young and old, because like a 18-year-old called me old the other day, and I was like, bro, hold on a second, I'm not old. I'm only 34.
Right, I feel you on that.
Yeah, so context is very important, but my message to all the Afghan community would be like, we got to be proud of ourselves. Like, we came from such a place, from where we were in the 80s to where we are now. It's such a difference. Like, we have people in our community that are in like key center stones of any and each type of organization, industry, whatever it may be. Like, we're really growing in every sense, in each part of the world. We're even on social media, we're being very influential. I would just, my message would be like, try to remember where we came from and keep that as your backbone, as your blood, because then it'll resonate with the crowd that's your audience, and then your message will just be very more effective, and it'll just open people up to, you know, oh, that person's kind of different. Like, I wonder where they're from. Oh, they're from Afghanistan. Oh, the people from Afghanistan are very hospitable. Like, why is that? You know, so like, it really opens up that door based on the experience. Like, especially because we're all Muslims, like, they're not going to, you know, the new Muslims that are coming into the community are not doing it based off of like what you tell them. They go based off how you act with them. And that your character goes a long way. So like, I feel like we're doing really good and growing within the community. I think building that character and remembering where we came from, what our parents did to get here, is also very critical. And then for the relationships advice I would give, because I've been married, tomorrow's my 14-year wedding anniversary, actually. And looking back, I'm like, man, like all the different challenges that we went through, there's no fight that's too big or that's like, you know, a deal breaker. You always have to compromise. And no matter what, like, it's not too big of a deal. In the bigger picture of things, I feel like working things out is always in the best interest of both parties, because whether you go to a new relationship or not, you're going to carry the same problems that you had within yourself to the next relationship. So then you go back to square one. You really need to focus in on yourself and better yourself as either a husband or wife, and then work yourselves together. So I think that would be my message.
Shout out to you. I feel like everybody needs somebody like you in their life, and there might be viewers like watching like, hey, I would love to reach out to Sadiq. What would you recommend? Now, off the top of my head, I'm thinking they might be able to message you on LinkedIn. Do you check your LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, Instagram. You can send me a DM. If you need any help or ask for advice, you know, I'll definitely help you guys out as much as I can.
Yeah, Sadiq, I mean, it was a pleasure having this conversation. I appreciate you coming on. honestly, a true role model. I know
Thank you.
you are someone that a lot of people could look up to and definitely use as inspiration. Like starting off at your life at 20, taking major, like I would consider like risks and like, you know, taking a leap of faith, but seeing that in the end, it was all worth it. You had the right intentions, and it's possible as long as you work hard.
Hey man, each one of us is a role model. We just need to open our eyes to it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you, Sadiq.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
to have you
Appreciate your
on,
time,
bro.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for joining us at the Majlis podcast. We would love your support, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe.